I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I know the problem, you've got just one policy. You do the opposite of what the Donald does. Don't know what you believe just because you got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Open the borders, let Mamdani pick your pocket. Let the boys beat the girls, they got that extra rocket. A theology degree from Starbucks. You declare that America sucks. You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Let's get this party started. If you're left, you're blue and probably retarded. Like Rosie, De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, Kathy Griffin. No kings, no kidding. We don't live in Great Britain. If J6 was the worst thing you've ever seen, Soros, burning Sadie's a mostly peaceful thing. Bring back the cartels, commute their crimes, sack the fact checkers like the New York Times. He's a Nazi, a fascist, a racist dictator who lets you say what you want to say.
Luke, I am your daddy.
You got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. No matter what he says, you must be really dumb, 'cause you keep blaming Trump for all your problems.
Side effects of Trump derangement syndrome may include violent behavior, delusions, nightmares, insomnia, irrational hatred, hopelessness, anxiety, depression, blue hair, tantrums, inability to form coherent speech, difficulty maintaining gainful employment, and verbal diarrhea.
There's no cure in sight.
Hey guys, welcome to the program. How's it going? We're going to do a little bit of current history today, something you need to know about. But let me tell you right up front, this is going to be a two-part program in one. Normally, I would jump over to my locals to do a special presentation on all the stuff that I'm covering regarding election integrity and what you should know. But in order to kind of make it available to everyone so you can see it, so you can understand what I'm doing, the sessions that I would normally do on locals, I'm going to do here. What I'm doing is I'm unpacking the Election Crime Bureau, Lindell Group's list of 799 pages of how elections were taken over. And what I'm doing is I'm going through each one to give you what you really need to know. What is it? What rights do we have? Is it a crime? Is it maladministration? Is it malfeasance? Or is it just bullshit? And so I'm breaking it down. And this one you're going to want to hear because the GOP is in on it. And so all I'll do is I'll run the video, give you time if you want to just go on and not hear it, but I'm going to go ahead and do this one program right here with each one of you, right? And jump right into it. But for the main program, we're going to talk about democratic socialists in America. And yes, socialists are here. You probably have no true idea to what extent. Wait till you hear possibly me calling out your state. But I'm going to explain what's going on, why it's going on. By the way, today's program is brought to you by the fine folks at Gold Code that I partner with. Here's all I'm asking you to do is to request your free gold and silver kit today, because now is the time to protect your money from gold and silver. Just pop over to jovanlovesgold.com, fill out the form, get the free information, talk to a representative. It's very easy to do. And find out why physical assets should be part of your portfolio and strategy. It's not a hard deal, but I'm telling you, digital dollars are coming. That's kind of why they changed the banking requirement for everything over $600 gets reported. Look, this is all coming down. It just is. It's happened. It's here. Not it's gonna happen. It has happened and it is here. But on this program today, we're going to talk about Democratic Socialist of America. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. I'm going to cover it in detail. I'm going to give you the facts and stats you need to know. Share this program. We'll get started right after this.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no. Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone. Yeah. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-headed fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. You fuck around and find out it's what it is. Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone. Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-headed fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease. Fuck around and find out what that is.
Here's what is inside the pharmacy. Grow Soil Bible. Beautiful gardens, bountiful harvests, and homesteading abundant black gold. For too long, modern agriculture has poisoned the very ground beneath our feet. Synthetic NPK fertilizers delivered bigger yields at a devastating cost. They wiped out the teeming microbial life that once made soil rich, alive, and endlessly productive, trapping us in a cycle of chemical dependence and dying farmland. Now is the time to fight back. The Grow Soil Bible takes you on a powerful journey back to the ancient wisdom that created the world's most fertile soils. Discover the secrets of Amazonian terra preta, also called black gold, born from biochar, fish bones, compost, and microbial magic. Master the art of Chinese green tea composting and Japanese bokashi to transform kitchen scraps and yard waste into living, breathing super soil. Whether you're a backyard gardener, passionate homesteader, or family determined to build real food security, this book gives you everything you need. Step-by-step instructions, precise natural ingredients lists, and proven techniques to grow your own ultra-fertile dirt instead of buying dead bags from the store. Become a true dirt farmer. Revive the microorganisms that power life. Break free from synthetic slavery and slow chemical suicide, and create abundant, nutrient-dense harvests that feed your family for generations. Your garden, your orchard, your future. It all starts with the soil. Reclaim the earth. Grow your own black gold.
Okay, guys. What we're going to talk about in this episode, the first half, we're going to talk about Democratic Socialists of America. I've done a program on this before, but now that we've been through quite a few primaries, I want to show you how prevalent this is. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to show you the ground game. Here is the ground game that takes place that allows these unknown people to eventually get elected in cities. It's a global ground game. You'll recognize it as you see it. Like, here's the United Nations health director.
The failure of states to adopt an anti-racist, anti-colonial, and dignity-based approaches through extractive capitalistic practices, pillaging of...
Damn capitalism, it made me fat. Listen.
The failure of states to adopt an anti-racist, anti-colonial, and dignity-based approaches through extractive capitalistic practices, pillaging of resources, coloniality, genocides, and then crushes people under the weight of indignity. Health cannot be realized without dignity.
South Africa commends her distinguished tenure, grounded in dignity, equality, and inclusion.
We thank the Special Rapporteur for her principled voice and solidarity.
The Arab Group thanks the Special Rapporteur and we commend her prioritization.
We celebrate the incredible legacy of Dr. T. She has made clear the intersectional links between colonialism, racism, patriarchy, and power.
We also commend your courage in documenting genocidal acts perpetrated in Gaza.
I'm a proud African trans woman delivering this statement on behalf of 37 feminist organizations. We commend the Special Rapporteur for calling for the decriminalization of abortion and sex work. She has recognized Israel's genocide. We call on this council and its special rapporteurs to build progressively on Dr. Mofokeng's considerable legacy of body of work.
Thank you. I call on United Nations Watch.
Special Rapporteur Mofokeng, your report focuses on human dignity, including protection from exploitation. Now, on page 21, you refer to sex workers.
Her name is Mofokeng, otherwise said in her native tongue, Mofokeng Kong.
The failure of states to adopt an anti-racist, anti-colonial, and dignity-based...
Mofokeng. Now, that's at the global scale. Every country in the world sitting there. This is the health director, blaming everything on the United States, capitalism, Israel's the Jews. Now, I show you this. Mofokeng. Yes, and her cousin in Georgia, Gorilla Grip. Anyway, this is a global push to demonize everything. So that's one of the conflict at the global scales. And you saw those fine countries reporting. Here's some of the other crap in chaos. Please understand, this takes chaos to do.
Well, you know what, sir? I don't know if there's a lot we can agree on. So let's just take our wins when we have
Ma'am.
Sir.
Ma'am.
Do you think you can force me to tell...
Ma'am. Ma'am. That is not a dick. That is just a big labia. You labiarist phobic.
Well, you know what, sir? I don't know if there's a lot we can agree on. So let's just take our wins when we have
Ma'am.
Sir.
Ma'am.
Do you think you can force me to call you ma'am?
I don't know, sir.
I mean, that's a question, like a legitimate question for the transgender community. Can you force Americans to call you by the pronoun you want to be called? Can you force me? Should there be like legal ramifications if I do not call you?
Why would you really care enough? I see it this way. Why do you care so much about what's
because
in
I
my
care
pants?
about facts. And I care about fundamental truth. And sir,
the fact
you
is
are
that
a boy. You are a boy.
Cool.
You're not a woman.
And you've seen that chaos on our ground. Maybe you've seen this chaos here.
No King's Day!
No freaking kings! No kings in the USA!
No King's Day! Woo!
Have you kind of noticed that all the people that do this and go the most extreme probably are autistic as shit? Is that part of why they've drugged us, vaccinated us to make us autistic so to be susceptible to suggestion? Just an idea, but it strikes me when I see this.
No King's Day! No freaking kings!
No kings in the USA!
No King's Day! Woo! Yeah! No King's Day! What are we gonna do to the king?
We're gonna shut him down.
How are we gonna shut him down?
Impeachment.
If there's impeachment, that means there's a Congress and Donald Trump can't be a king.
Right.
Right. Why is Donald Trump a king?
Because he's nuts.
He smells funny.
For real? Is that a question?
Because he has repeatedly overused his.
He's trying to abuse this world and try to make this place all about him.
Why are you asking me this? You know the answer.
What's the answer?
You know it.
What is it?
You know the answer.
So many people showed up.
Imagine if they showed up like this for Kamala.
People showed up for Kamala.
Did that go the way you thought it was going to go? Nope.
What is one action that Donald Trump took that is impossible to do under the Constitution, but he did it anyway?
I can't name specific laws. I'm sorry.
I lost a lot of thought on that.
You're a reporter, so why don't you do your homework? Don't ask me.
Went to war.
Legally, he could do that.
He can? Oh.
Putting ice in our cities.
Legally, he could put ice in cities.
I don't really give about legally.
Rename the Kennedy Center.
Which amendment under the Constitution is he prohibited to renaming the Kennedy Center?
I refer you to the New York Times 2 days ago. They had a list of 30 items.
And you read it?
I read it, absolutely.
So what is one thing from that list?
One thing from that list is I'm blanking.
I did not fully read it. I've got it. I've read excerpts.
He's trying to run again.
If he's trying to run again, why'd he leave office the first time?
Because he got voted out.
So why won't he leave office now when he's term limited?
Because he's a fascist, that's why. Did you not hear what I said?
But he left the first
fascist.
Are you affirming that you think President Trump is a fascist?
I've spoken about...
That's okay, you can just say yes.
Okay.
What's going to happen in the midterms?
This is what's going to happen in the midterms.
But I thought Donald Trump was a king, so there wouldn't be any elections.
Don't be so cavalier about that. You're taking this as a joke. It's not. This is you. I don't think you know how serious it is.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
If he was acting like a king, he'd probably try to jail his political opponents.
Of course he has.
Oh my God, wait. I think Joe Biden might be a king. Who do you want to win the U.S.-Iran war?
Honestly, I can't say who.
You don't want the United States to win?
Not with Trump.
The U.S. is bombing Iran for no reason. I am rooting for the United States to just stop.
So you're not rooting for the United States?
Correct.
Are you happy the Ayatollah's dead?
No. I'm not happy that anyone's dead.
Trump took out the Ayatollah. He took out Maduro. He seems to be the king slayer. You got to give him credit.
How can you ask that question?
I don't know. I heard he loves strong men.
Do you love strong men?
Well, maybe George Clooney.
Yeah, I'd be shaken if I saw him.
Literally shaking.
We are the families.
Climate families.
Climate families. Do you know who I am?
Well, you a king?
Here's Johnny.
All right.
So you can kind of see what the hell happened to my camera there? You can kind of see the mess, right? That's out there. That's part of the confusion going on the streets. You see how it's all disconnected. The reason I'm showing you this confusion is I want to show you the ground game that's going on. You'll understand why in a minute. Here's some more of the ground game.
It may not be real. If you look at, like, this is going to make some people mad probably, but if you look at the Holocaust, right? There's been some videos
I don't know.
put out there. I'll say it. I don't give a shit. Like, there's some people out there that take a video of Hitler. And I'm not saying what Hitler did was good at all. Not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, I think nowadays Israel is definitely the head of everything, right? The Jews are, whatever. And like, if you're a believer, right? And God talks about
We're
Israel
trying to save the
as a
children.
people, as a nation, not as the state as it is, right? Like, Israel is a state, like it's its own thing, right? But like, they're the most corrupt motherfuckers in the entire world, like 100%, right? And I'm not saying the Holocaust was good. I'm saying Hitler had a point. I'm not saying I agree with Hitler.
See, I don't know if I agree with that.
Not saying
He's on
that.
his own for that.
Let me point something out here. This is the rhetoric that gets people clicks nowadays. Just the most corrupt motherfuckers there is. Really? I know they have a problem going into cities, cutting off people's heads. Oh, wait. As this jerk wants you to know he's a Christian with his big old cross that he ordered with the pillow code now on his neck.
May not be real. If you look at, like, this is going to make some people mad probably, but if you look at the Holocaust, right? There's been some videos
I don't know.
put out there. I'll say it. I don't give a shit. Like, there's some people out there that take a video of Hitler, and I'm not saying what Hitler did was good at all. Not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying is, I think nowadays Israel is definitely the head of everything, right? The Jews are, whatever. And like, if you're a believer, right? And God talks about Israel
trying to save the
as a
children.
people, as a nation, not as the state as it is, right? Like, Israel is a state, like its own thing, right? But like, they're the most corrupt motherfuckers in the entire world, like 100%, right? And I'm not saying the Holocaust was good. I'm saying Hitler had a point. I'm not saying I agree with Hitler.
See, I don't know if I agree with
all.
that.
Not saying
He's
that.
on his
I'm
own
not
for that
saying
one.
that. Let me finish what I'm saying, damn it. What I'm saying is the people who are disrupting our government now, right? If you look at everyone who
They're
is
Jewish.
who is a Jew and they're in power, things like that. Look it up, bro. Look the shit up. I'm not a big conspiracy theory. This is something that I will die on, right? Hitler was trying to prevent his country from taking over so much of crazy ass, powerful
molesters.
type people. Now, time out. Listen, that is a fact. Now, will I say Hitler killed some innocent motherfuckers? He did. He did some really bad things, but his main
is not the
purpose
answer.
behind it all, he was trying to prevent a takeover from who United States is being run through by
So
now.
basically, what Trump is doing is like what Hitler was doing, except doing it the right way. He's trying to call everybody out.
I don't know if I'm gonna say that, dog. I ain't gonna go that far.
He's not trying to kill people.
I ain't gonna go that far.
He's not
but
trying to kill people, but he's trying to
That's a little
expose
mix up
people.
there, dude. But
He's trying to expose people.
that is a yes. Okay, time out. Hitler wasn't exposing nobody. He was saying, basically, "F you. I don't like any
I know,
of y'all.
but Trump is trying
Get
to
out of my
expose
country.
people, and he's not trying to
like,
kill
I'm gonna
people.
terminate you. You know what I'm saying? That's
You guys find each other.
Tinder.
That's how far our country are fallen in pursuing this chaos. Now, there's a reason I'm showing you this. There's a reason I'm showing you this, but first let me cleanse your palate of that crap.
If history has taught us anything,
I will not let your people go!
it's to not give up on the Jewish people.
You want to bet?
Despite massacres,
Burn it to the ground!
persecutions, expulsions, pogroms, and false accusations. Despite wars, despite terror, the Jewish people endure. An eternal people, entrusted with an eternal mission. No matter how dark things appear, you are part of the Jewish nation, and you will persevere.
Okay, so I show you all of that chaos. Internationally and domestically, all saying the same thing. America bad, capitalism bad, Jews are the problem. It's a global talking point, even down to these idiots. Well, Jews run everything in the government. And you've heard that crap before. You had Ivan Reichland spewing his fucking idiocracy on here. It's Jews run everything. Just so you know, that is a deployed, implemented, instructed con that is not only happening around the world, it's happening inside circles of people that you think actually fight for the United States of America, but it's not. It's part of the con. Now, with that con going on while everybody's distracted, something else is creeping in. This is the con. You'll understand in a minute why it happens. I want to show you a celebration. A celebration in Denver.
Over 1,000 Coloradans joined Melat Quiros here in Denver.
I'm an immigrant raised in Denver, a lawyer who stood up for the right to protest genocide. And now, corporate super PACs are spending over $1 million for Diana to get. It's time for a change, to end the corruption, to fight Trump. That's why I'm backed by Bernie Sanders.
My name is Melat Quiros, and it would be my greatest honor to serve as your next Congresswoman.
I'm Melat Quiros, and I approve this message.
How are you feeling right now?
Feeling pretty electric. We got another one up there. Numbers on the board, baby. Socialism coming to a neighborhood near you.
What's one thing that you're excited for and they'd like to do?
Moratorium on AI data centers, Medicare for all, housing for all, end the endless wars, spend all that money on ourselves.
All right, let's do it. And thank you for being out here and fighting the good fight.
Of course.
And that is why today I am personally endorsing for Congress Melat Quiros, everybody!
My name is Melat Quiros. I'm running for Congress to stand up to the billionaires and the corporations burning our planet and profiting from genocide. I'm running because I believe in a world where every single human being, no matter where you're born, no matter what body you're born into, no matter what wealth you're born into, you are deserving of dignity, of unfettered joy, and of pride. Get your ballots in by Tuesday. Make your voice heard.
I'm telling you guys, by the way, if you want to know what the next wave is Melat Quiros in Denver. Denver, Colorado, DSA. She's cooking. She's cooking.
Okay. Now, why do I show you that? Because it's Denver. Because it's a red state that has been taken over. Pop quiz. During the 2020 cycle and all the battle over elections, one state became the lightning rod that was in the news all the time. What state, put it in chat, what state was that? What state was that? One state out of all the states stands out that was constantly in an uproar. That was the state of Colorado. Now I'm going to stitch it back to you. Do you know why this matters? Well, yesterday, Tina Peters was with President Trump doing a debrief, and there was not a suffocating pillow or heroes trying to save her in sight. Inside the administration, they know Tina was set up and railroaded. You're going to learn more about that as this goes forward. Trust me. What state just fell? Colorado. For me, part of the setup of Tina, out of freaking nowhere, we just need to find a state that's red, a county that's red, and I want to test out my theory. What did it actually do? Put Tina in prison. Sent a signal conveniently 30 days before the 2024 election that if you're a county recorder, don't question shit. Are you beginning yet to see the orchestrated setup? Now Tina's out there on her own hoofing for money while other people raised over $18 million in her name, but somehow it didn't pay her bills. All of that is a con to suck the money, the resources out of the room, to think you other people have it are going to fix it. When they're not fixing it, they're creating continual chaos. The reason they're creating continual chaos is because this is what they want to rise in the vacuum. I don't know how to continue to point this out to you, but this is what has been going on. I keep on trying to say it. I keep on trying to show it. But one thing we know, garlics turn away vampires. Crosses worn on the outside attract conservatives to unfailing loyalty. When if you audit them, isn't that interesting? Concept of an audit, you find out it's all bullshit, nothing works, nothing happens. Because it's about chaos. Now, you got to understand, when you have, and then New York was second with all the stuff with President Trump, all the suits they brought into New York court. It's to divide everything up. But it's for a reason. The reason is to discourage people to turn out to vote, because your vote doesn't count. Take the weakest minds, take these parties of bullshit, and they look like they're being heroes to the weakest mind because E. Jean Carroll gets $1 billion for something that's made up. You get it? This is how it works. It is all orchestrated. Tina Peters was targeted. Tina Peters was not railroaded by the Democrat system. Tina Peters was railroaded by so-called conservatives saving the country deep operatives system. I'm not talking fools. I'm not talking they were dumb and they got conned by bad people. They all were in on it. This is how it works. Now, let me show you a little bit about this person who just won Colorado.
Do you believe that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East.
9/11's our fault. Now, see, they try to have it both ways because the con leading up to this was it was the Jews that did 9/11. It was Israel that did 9/11. They get that story going. Oh, now it's convenient, etc. Well, it was, and hang on, because I'm going to tell you where these guys are in your area. This is how it works. It is all about chaos. 100% about chaos. They give you things to chase. The very perpetrators then try to reposition us. We're the heroes. Well, I fought for Tina. I didn't put her in jail because I got people to believe there was a phony call with Antifa and they were going to rig it, and I was the proof that every case was rigged on. But no, I'm trying to save her. Let me tell you about this little girl in Colorado. This was everywhere. Oh, wrong one. Let me tell you about this little girl in Colorado. She's a 29-year-old Ethiopian immigrant, former lawyer. She got fired for defending violent protesters. PhD student, member of the DSA. She openly calls herself Democrat Socialist and ran on the platform of pure radicalism. This comes from Amy Meck, by the way. Her agenda is a socialist wish list designed to destroy what's left of America. Medicare for all, full government takeover healthcare, cancel all medical debt, break up the entire medical industry. Housing. Oh, by the way, as you saw, the forced injections, make your money while you can. Now everybody knows the bullshit. What better way to get all people behind breaking up healthcare? Do you get the con yet? Housing first. Treat housing as a right. Build massive social government housing, federally subsidized development. Treat homelessness as purely a public health issue. No consequences, just more taxpayers' money. Universal child care. The government will raise your kids from cradle to classroom. She basically demands that Israel is participating in genocides and apartheid, that people were just pushing back against Israel, so it's Israel's fault. She wants to abolish ICE. She says it was created of fear and Islamophobia. You see how it kill the Jews, cover for the radicals coming in. Get it? Kill what's right, cover for what's bad. She wants to basically say, get rid of ICE because that was born out of fear and Islamophobia. She wants to get big money out of politics. She has a PAC herself, by the way, but it's just about feeding the radical left machine. Of course, she's backed by Bernie Sanders, Hassan Piker, who you know is here to destroy whatever. Trans movement, you name it. Everything that is part of the chaos is backing her. This is about creating a coalition that actually destroys everything about America and everything about Trump. This is the Democrat Socialists of America. They will tell you our goal is communism, period. but people aren't paying attention. But do you think it's any real coinkydink? Their big win that just came in is Colorado.
Do you believe that the 9/11 terrorist attacks on America were the inevitable consequence of American foreign policy?
Inevitable in the sense that we destabilized a lot of the Middle East, that forced people to believe that another act of violence was the only response. And again, just like I said before, our responsibility is to getting rid of those conditions that lead to violence in the first place.
Violence is not violence. It's created by conservatives, Christian faith, those Jews, and expecting people to follow the law. That creates violence. Therefore, it's not the violence fault. Again, you just watched Colorado's going to fall to this. I'm going to give you a list that's going to blow your socks off because you're not paying attention to how many have gotten put in office. You're not paying attention to how many they've got into office. I showed you before when I did the first bit on democratic socialism, I showed you how they work it in, and I showed you how entryism, right? They get in, they get enough positions in the party, and then they take over the whole party. Go back and refer to that episode so you understand how it works. But it's also going on in New York.
She will be a congressperson from New York's 13th district who the New York Times asked her if someone murders someone randomly, should they go to jail? Couldn't get her to say yes for that.
Yeah, New York. Let me give you a little bit more on this woman.
Darlisa Avilia Chevalier. She's faced criticism now over deleted social media posts. I want you to take a listen to this attack ad from her former opponent.
Let's meet Darlisa in her own words.
Thank you, everyone.
She won't stand by Kamala Harris.
Okay, let's get to business.
She won't stand by Joe Biden. She even called him a rapist. She won't stand by veterans or the American flag. She stands with dividing us by race. Meet the real Darlisa, the one she tried to delete.
So to be clear, Senator, that was an attack ad from a fellow Democrat. You've talked about this bigger tent. If you're saying the Democratic Party needs a bigger tent, does that include someone who called a former Democratic president of the United States a rapist?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not super familiar with that race. All I'm saying is that this party has to have a real contest of ideas.
Now, what you may have noticed if you're paying attention, I told you, all of this can only happen with chaos. Well, they got all conservatives talking about red tennis shoes, 7 rays of light, QFS blockchain, electronic ballots, we have them all, PCAPs. It's about telling you the system's bad. Democrats tell you the system's bad. Everybody gets pissed off at the system. They give you people to hate, and boom, in that vacuum, here it comes. That's what this is and how it works.
She will be a congressperson from New York's 13th district who the New York Times asked her if someone murders someone randomly, should they go to jail? Couldn't get her to say yes for that. She says no more police ever, at all, ever. She says our veterans are war criminals. She said fuck Kamala Harris and Joe Biden is a rapist. So there is a woke mind virus, and I think we found patient 0.
Now, what you need to understand, this is here. And this is why you're going to want to stay, because this all ties together. But this is why you're going to want to stay on for the second part of it, where I'm going to change the stuff. I'm going to talk just about the election stuff and the Lindell report. Yes, and I'll say it. Mike Lindell was the single worst thing to happen to election integrity or American politics ever. Now, you can believe he got conned into it and he was gullible. Well, is that what you need for a Minnesota governor? I'd rather have somebody who is a rat bastard, tell the truth, I'm going to take your school and children, than somebody that puts a cross out on their shirt and says, no, I'm here to save the day. Bullshit. Bullshit. I'm going to go into detail. I'm going to show you how this works, because every bit of this works hand in hand. Every single bit of this works hand in hand. It's how they take everything over. So how many of these lawmakers do you think you have? Do you know? How many of these professed Democrat Socialist of America do you think we have? And I'm telling you right now, the reason I'm calling this out is because now we're at dire warnings. You got people like Patrick Colbeck, Election Crime Bureau Chief. Here we are to save the day. They'll give you a bunch of lists and facts, but never tell you what the law is, what can be enforced and what not enforced. I called it out. He called me out, and I said, okay, let's cover it. Here, we'll do it all. We'll do a marathon. I'll take that to cover my stuff. All he did was block. These people can't force the heat. By the way, Orange man good, globalist bad. God bless you for that generous donation. It all, 100%, goes to keeping everything going with election integrity. It's just what makes it go round. It's what enables us to do it. By the way, in case you haven't seen it, we still have to fight this fight. Mike Lindell raised $18 million just for the defense fund. True the Vote, even more. Other supposed conservative organizations out of nowhere, even more. Some of them, $34 million. All chasing BS. And here we struggle just to keep the only physical evidence alive. Let me remind you.
The upcoming 2026 midterms could be a bloodbath for Republicans? How? Consider this. On Election Day 2008, Barack Obama received 69 million votes. In his second term, he racked up 65 million votes, and he was considered the Democrat rock star president. Then Hillary ran against Donald Trump. She received the same 65 million votes. But come 2020, Joe Biden supposedly received 81 million votes. Was he really more popular than Obama or Hillary? Of course not. But that is not the half of it. In the 2024 election, Kamala Harris received 68 million votes. But did you know that now it's almost 2 years after that election, and somehow Kamala Harris has been elevated to over 75 million votes? How does a candidate get 8 million more votes after the election? Is this an attempt to validate the fraudulent 81 million vote fantasy from 2020? You bet. One thing stands between chaos and correcting history, and that is the historic 2020 full forensic archive of Maricopa County, Arizona, the single most detailed full audit of a presidential election in American history, audited over 2 million ballots, generated over 20,895,000 individual proof files. This took 58 billion forensic measurements, resulting in over 2 trillion individual base computations. This evidence must be kept for any and all future court cases, Supreme Court cases, and preserved for all time, eventually at the Trump Presidential Library. That is why we need you. You, the people, made this history happen, and now you, the people, can have a hand in making sure this evidence is saved for future generations. Please donate. Please help us. Donate now to continue to preserve a chain of custody state of the only legal court-ready evidence of the 2020 election disaster. The 2.1 million physical ballots, the single largest forensic audit of a presidential election in American history. Please donate now and preserve history.
Let me give you an example of what I'm talking about. I wrote an article about Denise D'Souza was right. You know, the Supreme Court just ruled that you got to have a warrant to get the phone information, because by the phone, you can tell exactly where the person is. Sound familiar? Well, it's 2,000 mules. Now, the system back then told you that you can't identify people that way. You can't tell who was there. You can't tell if they touched a drop box or even came close to it. You remember that? Well, that's exactly the data they used to incarcerate and find all the people at January 6th. Except conservative podcasters, many who were there, Ivan Reichland, Colonel Sean Smith, Joel Altman, Mark Cook, all these people, they were there. They didn't get arrested, but the people they had come from their following audience did. It's called geofencing. So yes, they used it against the people and then told you it couldn't be used for evidence. Well, as 2,000 Mules ran, a lawsuit came out and said, well, that's not right. That's not real. You can't use that. All that data was provided by True the Vote, which I think, I could be wrong, but I think they raised about $24 million. Yeah, more than they ever have. But when push came to shove, they said, well, we're not really sure about our data, so we can't stand behind it. So Catherine and Greg left Denise out to dry and said, well, we're not really sure. And that's what I wrote about. And now the Supreme Court says, well, it's dead on, but you got to have a warrant for it and you got to go through this process. That's what I'm talking about in election integrity. It sucks all the money out of the room, so even all the real things cannot be done. That's what happens. It's fought many different ways. Many different ways. And I would remind you, as much as I tried to get with True to Vote and said, look, I have the Dropbox information. I know what ballots hit these boxes by batches. Tell you what, just kind of give me an inkling of what you find. I think they'll match up. Never had a conversation, never would talk. Ever. But you've been promised royal flushes, grand slams, everything. It's all a con job. It is never about, hey, do up, come here. Come here. Hey. I want to get Do Up in here. I've been having the morning open. Okay. See if I can get him to walk in, because I'll introduce him to you. Anyway, who is that? Who's that there? Hang on. No fond of Jane. Again, guys, all of it goes to election. We struggle to keep the only physical evidence they is, which they fight, never do, never cover. They don't want it out, right? Thank you for that generous tip. I greatly appreciate it. It all goes towards this battle and election integrity and keeping this information safe. But you got to understand, this is the collective con. You just can't see it because they tell you they're Christian, they're Jesus this, they're fighting this, when nothing they've done has a legal basis or can be done. And that's why you're going to want to stay tuned to the second part. I'm going to kind of show you how this works. But this is the con. Continual chaos. And yes, I will say it. You can clip it and say it. The worst thing that ever happened in American election and politics is Mike Lindell, addict, becoming an addict of adulation, getting involved, claiming he had everything. And when it was lie proven by court, under testimony. But nobody remembers that. But it did suck everything out of the room. I began to question these things because I know what's being filled in this vacuum. When all the people that are on his team or all the people that were also at January 6th and leaders and telling to be there, but they didn't get indicted or arrested, but people they invited from the organizations did. See, I find that stinks. Time and time and time again. But that's me. But how bad do you think this is in your state? Who are the two foremost elected officials that are Democrat Socialist of America? Yes, Mike Lindell swore under oath in court he had no PCAPs, he never had them. But yet you donated $18 million to defend him. You had to defend them against Dominion, which conveniently just dropped their suit 1 month before his primary, but everybody else had to pay. It was based upon a guy's lie that I infiltrated an Antifa call, which turned out to be a total bullshit lie. But he became Mike Lindell's right-hand man, got him public, and they went public at $126 million. Oh, and it's anchored in Colorado. Imagine that. Anyway, who's your top two? Do you know who the top two are right now that are members of this? One in New York, one in Michigan. Do you know who it is? Most people aren't paying attention. It's Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Rashida Tlaib. Yeah. Do you know who just left? Former just kind of cycled out. But the end of the term's in 27. Get ready. I'm just going to go by the list. I'm going to tell you how many there are, and I'm going to tell you the state. Listen to your state. Of course, you got AOC, New York. You got Rashida Tlaib, Michigan. Greg Sazard, Texas. Summer Lee, Pennsylvania. Sherry Thanadar, Michigan. Jamal Bowman, New York. Corey Bush, Missouri. Danny K. Davis, Illinois. Jerry Nadler, New York. John Conyers, Michigan. Major Owens, New York. David Bonor, Michigan. Ron Dellums, California. These are House and Senate, etc., upper houses, etc. Rachel Ventura, Illinois. Zanab Mohammed, Minnesota, of course. Kristen Gonzalez, New York. Tanya Wybowski, Vermont. Kara Hoffner, Delaware. Jen McEwen, Minnesota. Omar Fatah, Minnesota. Jabriri Brisport, New York. Nikhil Saval, Pennsylvania. Megan Hunt, not Mike. Megan Hunt, Nebraska. Robert Peters, Illinois. Julia Salazar, New York. Sam Bell, Rhode Island. Julie Gonzalez, Colorado. John Laird, California. Nancy Skinner, California. Jim Marzilli, Massachusetts. Constance N. Johnston, Oklahoma. Ken Jacobson, Washington. Dick Springer, not Springy Dick, that's his cousin, Oregon. Scudder Parker, Vermont. Julian Bond, Georgia. Alex Lee, California. Andrew Boschenecker, Colorado. Javier Mabry, Colorado. Lorena Garcia, Colorado. Yara Yorkey, Colorado. Lori Sweet, Connecticut. Larry Lambert, Delaware. Mendiah Wilson Anton, Delaware. Eric Morrison, Delaware. Gabriel Sanchez, Georgia. Amy Peruso, Hawaii. Mandry Landry, Louisiana. Grayson Looknor, Maine. Gabriel Severo, Maryland. Vaughn Stewart, Maryland. Eureka Yeiterhoven, Massachusetts. Dylan Wegla, Michigan. Jamie Wilson Jr., Michigan. Athena Hollins, Minnesota. Samantha Sensor Mura, Minnesota. Denise Joy, Montana. Zoe Zefford, Montana. Eleanor Chavez, New Mexico. Stephen Riga for elections. Vote for Riga. New York. Jessica Gonzalez Rojas, New York. Dana Moreno, New York. Claire Valdez, New York. Emily Gallagher, New York. Marcella Mittenez, New York. Farah Suafront Forrest, New York. Sarahana Seresta, New York. Tristan Rader, Ohio. Farah Kai Chi, Oregon. Mark Gambia, Oregon. Leslie Munoz, Oregon. Travis Nelson, Oregon. Elizabeth Fielder, Pennsylvania. Rick Krajewski, Pennsylvania. Chris Rabb, Pennsylvania. David Morales, Rhode Island. Enrique Sanchez, Dirty's his cousin, Rhode Island. Tori Harris, Tennessee. Afton Ben, Tennessee. Brian Sinia, Vermont. Katie Logan, Vermont. Melanie Morgan, Washington. Sean Scott, Washington. Francesca Hong, Wisconsin. Ryan Clancy, Wisconsin. Darren Madison, Wisconsin. Kristen Phelps, Wisconsin. Here's who set the stage. Deshauna Neal, Delaware. Sophie Phillips, Delaware. Michael Connolly, Massachusetts. Jim Marzilli, Massachusetts. Zohan Mardani, which you now saw him move all the way up, New York. These were the first ones in. Elizabeth Epps, Colorado. Tim Hernandez, Colorado. Abraham Ashaya, Michigan. Mo Turner, Oklahoma. Emma Mulvaney Starnick, Vermont. Think about Oklahoma. These guys voting in known socialists. Celine Coburn, Vermont. Danny Tenenbaum, Montana. Tanya Vyhowski, Vermont. Sarah Inamarato, Pennsylvania. Youssef Rabhi, Michigan. Michael Sylvester, Maine. Alicia Attica Scott, Kentucky. Edwin Vargas, Connecticut. Ruth Buffalo, North Dakota. Summer Lee, Pennsylvania. Lee J. Carter, Virginia. Mark King, New Hampshire. Timothy Smith, New Hampshire. Jade Barr, Montana. Isaac Robinson, Michigan. Keneela Ng, Hawaii. Babette Josephs, Pennsylvania. Nancy Skinner, California. John Laird, California. Jackie Goldberg, California. Nilo Kopinin, Alaska. Aline Dugan, New York. Jerry Nadler, you know him, he went under. New York. Perry Bullard, Michigan. Harlan Baker, Maine. Tom Gallagher, Massachusetts. Ken Jacobson, Wisconsin. Dumbass Baker, Washington. Bev Stein, Oregon. Dick Springer, Oregon. Wally Priestley, Oregon. Oh, by the way, state level, let's do some state level. Sally Lieber, California, Board of Equalization. Devontae Lewis, Louisiana, Public Service Commission. Nancy Skinner, California, California Energy Commission. Michelle Fectu, Michigan, Board of Education. John Laird, California Neutral Resources Agency. You want me to keep on going? You want me to go down to your city offices? And I can go, and I can go, and I can keep going, and I can keep going. You think I'm kidding? You want me to keep on going? I literally, if the page scrolls this long, I've gotten this far through the scroll. $15 city council members, 15 past city council members, current city councils and city commissioners, 110. 110. With 59 just now cycling out. Board of Trustees, Transit Board, Rent Board Commissioner, major cities, 32. With 21 that just went out. So it's 53. You want me to keep on going? I explained this to you as entryism in my first part on this. They are here. I have told you, chaos is the key. If you run down all the rabbit holes, every one of the rabbit holes, it keeps you from understanding what's going on. Part of this con has been the election integrity bullshit because it sucked everybody in the room. I covered this in my program the other day. Liz Harris did the official canvass that was a rock star. Republicans chose not to bind it to the audit. Why? Because my numbers confirmed her numbers, but I knew where the ballots were. She only had trends. Then what happened? GOP, Lindell, all these other ones suck into the room. Yeah, we got a canvass. They shut down full forensic audit. Let's canvass. Everybody had to sign NDAs. None of that data ever saw the light of day. But they got you to do it. They sucked up the resources. Folks, this is here. And this is only a nice little name, Democratic Socialist for America. that gives them enough stronghold. Go back and watch my program on entryism, where they're just going to flip it. And boom, we're socialist, Marxist, communist. Here it is. You must understand this is happening. Now, I'm going to go to my part 2, which 100% has to do with this. This is going to be a little more technical, but when you understand how this was done to us, and you understand a lot of it was done under the fucking con of election integrity, and there's no integrity in elections. But what it did is it sucked up a lot of good people and a lot of good resources on stuff that could never, ever see the light of day, be brought to court, but convince you it was solid. That's what I'm going to be covering next. I'm going to give you a quick 3-minute break, right? And we'll get started on this part right after this.
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental.
Okay, I want to let you know, no, I'm doing it here. People are getting distracted. I'm doing this here. I'm doing this here. Okay? That's what I'm going to let you know. I'm doing this part of my program right here. So I'm just going to jump off into it because I told you about the infiltration. I kind of hopefully have shown you a little bit of how the infiltration works. Now I'm going to take some of this Election Crime Bureau, look here to save the day, Mighty Mousers. And I want to show you how this works because it's when you understand what really happens in this mess, you will understand how you got hijacked in the process. Never confuse activity with productivity. Never confuse activity with productivity. By the way, Mr. Hader, thank you so very much. All of this, guys, by the way, just God bless you. All of this goes towards election integrity. Thank you so very much for keeping this going, making sure we still have it, making sure it's there, period. This is why the system avoids it. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you to my Twitter. I posted an article. Now, the reason I'm doing this here is I've been doing the debriefs on my locals, but I want as many people to absolutely understand what I'm covering. So you understand this is super advanced election integrity. So you understand what's going on, St. Thomas. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, every one of you guys. If you don't understand how this works, you will confuse productivity with activity. One of the tools of taking over America is to fill the vacuum. That is why, before we get to hardcore evidence of the Arizona audit, and we're about a month and a half out, all of a sudden you get this cyber symposium, and no, it's PCAPs. All of that was to keep you away from the physical proof. Put together at the last minute as a con to keep you away from the physical proof. That's where they needed eyes. That's where they got the eyes. Now I'm going to walk you through this. This is more of a advanced education on understanding what works and doesn't work in this thing called election integrity. So you'll see it on my screen here. As I go through it, I'm going to explain it to you. Now, what we're talking about, I've done a series on this. I'm only on number 4 of this 799-page report. Here's the claim. Fulton County registration rate of 113.8% of citizens voting age, population, statistical impossibility, disputed fact. That means the system pushes back on it. Now, what I want you to see is I want you to understand the GOP's in on it. By the way, you see this one, ghost voting, 96,389 mail-in ballots attributed, unknown, relocated, 173,000 claim votes, right? All this other stuff. I gave you the rig on that. Go watch it. And when you go up to this system verification number 2, 20-year history with motor voter, I told you, oh, isn't it interesting that it was Ken Bennett's responsibility when he was in? This is the uniparty shit of how they do it. Now, when I do this debrief, and hopefully you'll stay with me, when I do this debrief, all I'm doing is looking at the legal basis of each of the individual claims thrown into a 799-page document to confuse you with no explanation, just their agenda. What I'm trying to do for you is break it down so you understand what it would really take if, in fact, this was evidence. And so what is election crime and how are they prosecuted? This is the point of this series, right? And so you got the Lindell Defense Funds, an Election Crime Bureau report, 799 pages, countless claims. This is a critical review. All I'm looking for is prosecutable evidence of election crimes. Here is the claim, okay? Here is the claim. ERI.VRI04, Fulton County registration rate of 113% of citizen of voting age population. Now, let me ask you just a simple question real quick. When you see something they have 118%, so they got 18% more than the people that can vote. When you see that percent sign, what's the first thing you know? That this is based on, right? This is based on somebody doing some math and saying, hey, this doesn't look right. What they're saying is, if I look at the numbers and I take a 6-degree polynomial, because this is where it comes from, when I look at it, it looks like they have 18% more people than they could actually logically have voting because I based it and ran it on age. I want you to understand, you can't take percentages to court. You can't take opinion to court. I'm going to show you this. If you sit in on any one lesson, sit on this one. Because you said 118% more people than voting age. Oh my God. I want to show you how this works and how the system defeats us at this. So stay with me, okay? When we're doing this, I want you to understand all I'm doing is looking at the Election Crime Bureau, here to save the day. Is this proof of a crime? A. B, is it maladministration? C, is it malfeasance? Or D, is this just nuanced noise which hurts election integrity? Now, because this has a percentage in it, you have to understand this is presented someone using average from public data. That's the first thing. They're looking at public data. They're not looking at an audit. They're not looking at ballots. They're not looking at anything but what they think public data says. Now, here's what they said. If we look at the average public records and we use that percentage per age group represented, and then we look at that, you can vote from the time you're 18, to 180, then the numbers show an overage. That's what it's actually saying. That's what this claim is. Well, if you look at it, registration rates, 113% of citizens that are that age. Now, number one, you have to understand this is 100% inadmissible in court. It's the difference between saying 35% of America is Catholic, and you got to take it to court. The court requires you, who's a Catholic, who's registered, how many are they? If it was actually part of a court case, you have to be able to say the who, what, when, where, and why. You can't do it on percentages. This is a standard of law based on circumstantial evidence. That's where I'm going to walk you through this. So the first thing you understand is this is based on general information averages. They're not looking at public data. They're not looking at ballots. They're not looking at anything but what they think public data says. Now, here's what they say. If we look at the average public records and we use that percentage per age group represented, and then we look at that, you can vote from the time you're 18, 180, then the numbers show an overage. That's what it's actually saying. not absolute facts by person, by registration, or by a one-to-one investigation. That's the very first thing you have to understand. In a court, here are the legal standards for getting court convictions, crimes, and elections. Here's why I bring this up. People will tout it, look, we'll get on an election integrity go, look what we found, aren't we great? Look what we found, donate now. And it can never be used. It can never solve the problem. It's a great indicator, but it can't fix the problem. What we have to do is fix the problem. Now, you got to understand what's called broader statistical aggregates or mathematical averages. It actually can be used in U.S. election cases, but almost every time they are rarely sufficient on their own to prove fraud, irregularities, overturns, which means you can include them. You can't get a judgment on them. See, why is that? Because the courts treat them as circumstantial evidence or supportive at best. And it's based on what's called evidentiary rules, legal standards for election contest, combined with practical limitations. Here is why they fall short. And I'm explaining to you, why does this fall short? When it comes to elections, it requires specific proof of impact on the outcome. Remember when they told you, when we investigated for fraud, we did not find enough to materially affect the outcome of the election when Barr said that? I'm going to explain that to you in this part. You're going to understand how it works. Okay? All of this comes down to, how does our judicial system work on proof? Okay? Here's the deal. Election laws in almost every state demand what's called high burden. It's probably one of the highest legal burdens there are. Everything goes back to the ballot. They just don't want you to look at the ballot. You can't just present an irregularity. By the way, that is maladministration, but you can't sue on it in this type of court. You have to have enough specific legal or invalid votes cast and for whom to change the result. You can't just say more people voted than were registered. You got to know who the fucking more people voted for to even present a challenge. Okay? So here's what you have to understand in claims like this. Averages or aggregates don't identify individual ballots. I'm giving you the case law, folks. An average turnout deviation, that's all it is. It's called Bennifer's Law anomaly, or vote shift patterns across precincts, can suggest a possible issue, but it fails to say which votes were fraudulent, how many of them were there, and for which, right? Which candidates was it? Courts require, if you're going to present statistics, you have to show which actual ballots were affected. This is case law. Now you understand why they stay away from the paper, because we can tell them to the exact number, by pallet, by box, by batch, exactly which ballots were affected. This is why they stay away from the ballot. It is what's required by law, and it is the only thing that proves something went wrong by law. The court demands you must link the irregularities to actual ballots. Now, you can combine it with stronger or indirect evidence, right? You can get testimony, you can get mismatched signatures or ineligible voter records, but go back to the top. It requires you match it to the ballot. All of the 2020 cases were based on statistics and bullshit. They stayed away from the ballots, and that is exactly why every one of them were rejected. They were the wrong form. They made the wrong claims. It's patterns this, percentage this, polynomials this, percent of people in the district this, all gone. All got thrown out. Now, what happens is, you got to understand, this is how they do this. It's called the Darbert standard. I've given you this before. In order to make any of these stick, You got to have expert statistical testimony. Federal courts in all states require this. It's called the Federal Rule of Evidence 702. It is the judge's job to make sure if the court's time is going to be taken up, it must be considered reliable and relevant. This is why so many people get put up as the experts and the court gets to kick them out. But they wouldn't let the pollster talk about it. Tina Peters, oh shit, we had Professor Clements. He was going to explain what happened in Colorado. All a racket. See, you see the court rejecting people. That court must be bad. Oh my God, why can't they let Moses? He's the one that let all the people go. He's a living prophet in modern times, and they won't even let him. Well, it's the rule of law, folks, and they do this on purpose. And when I say they do this on purpose, the people bringing forward the defenses do this on purpose. Because everybody's talking deviations, irregularities, and percentages and mathematical formulas. That immediately violates the rule of evidence of 702. If you go back and look at the expert witnesses put together, fucking Carrie Lake's case, Scooby-Doo and Shaggy put up a pollster as an expert witness. Knowing it cannot be used by law. So it doesn't even matter if the judge allow it, it can't be used. See, you have to understand stats or averages are not provable facts and are subject to error. So I'm going to show you how that works in a minute. See, simple averages or unvalidated models almost every time in court fail because they have a high potential for error and they have lack of controls for what's called confounders. Demographics, election rule changes, etc. And it never shows the result. You got to have the result for litigation. It's period. It also falls on what's called ecological fallacy. Aggregate data, county level data cannot reliably infer an individual voter behavior without strong assumptions, which means you can only assume, circumstantial. You cannot, if you, like Sharona Bishop said this with Dr. Franken as polynomial. Well, we went out and I canvassed 1,000 people and that was hard evidence and they said this happened. You might call it canvass. The court calls it polling. And as I told her directly, you can go into Mesa, Colorado, you can poll people and you're going to find 1,000 people that will swear President Trump is a pedophile and we're run by Israel. Can you take that to court and sue on it? No, you can't. It is still an opinion. The other you have to understand, if the methodology is flawed, the court is going to get rid of it. You see that right here where it says ignoring baselines? Do you remember when the professor and his wife were supposedly doing a full forensic audit in Arizona, or in New Mexico, which they never did? I'm catching hell for it. Jovan's team just posting old facts and it's his old stuff. That's stuff from 16 years ago. Yeah, we went back 16 years. Why did we go back 16 years? Because you have to have baselines. You cannot cherry pick comparisons. Now, basically, this is the biggest part. The biggest part is called correlation versus causation. Statistical deviations can arise from all kinds of things. Turnout patterns, legal changes, special rules, whatever. It doesn't matter why it's done. And a lot of these are done nefariously. But it is not fraud. Never has been, never will be. You can have bellwether counties and you can have late night vote dumps, which are not late night vote dumps, folks. They count mail-in ballots last. They can be made to look suspicious, especially when you align it with historical data. You can make them look any way you want. But The problem is judges and juries see this as weak probative value. Here's what it really means. You got to understand every one of these has the little bitty bullshit. And I've told you this before. If the judge is sitting here and you have election officials, and let's just say we know they're all fucking crooked, and you have all these expert witnesses, and you allow all this statistical data, and let's say in the jury's mind, it's a dead heat, it's 50-50. Get it? What is the rule of law of how the judge must decide then? Here's the law. I've told you this before. If it comes to that point and it's 50-50, the court must side with the people who run elections because it is their job to run elections, and ostensibly we have to agree by default. They are elected to run them right. Therefore, we decide there. You see why statistical averages are bullshit and not allowed? Because they're going to defer to the officials. But if they say we mailed all these mail-in ballots and there are no mail-in, you find out you didn't print that many, you didn't mail that many, or you had a lot more come in on election day flat that weren't even election day. That's physical evidence. That's the difference. If you listen to some of these experts testify, play Parka, Pariah, however you say that, right? Well, I read some emails and that's what they said. Is it Parka? Parkin? Actual testimony in court. Well, I read some emails and that's what it said. What is this type of data? Hard physical proof. You got to understand, the court demands it. And so what happens is you cannot have a judge or jury, because they carry what's called the strong presumption of validity. You cannot overturn any stat or part of an election based on risk chaos or disenfranchising or eroding trust. You got to have clear proof. But here's the rig. You can never tie them back to the voter. What's the first rule of Fight Club? You got to tie it back to the voter. Well, we vote in the United States of America called a thing called a secret ballot. That means once it's open and once it's used, you can never tie it back to the voter. Remember I told you how the system's rigged, just not in the way you think? The court requires you to tie it back to a ballot, which is the voter. By the way, Diane, thank you so very much. I love you long time back. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I would have loved you for free, but you gave me $20. Thank you very much. It all goes to election integrity. They require, by law, to tie it back to the ballot. But we vote in a secret ballot society. So basically what happens, they can actually allow limited statistical sampling for context. That's when it only comes to the damage phase or the audit phase, but not standalone proof of results. You cannot use probabilistic models. Now here's the legal principles of every bit of this. And every single case deviated from here is the physical ballot, here's the batch, here's the box, here's the pallet, here's the date and time stamp, the machine that ran through it, here's the physical ballots, here's what happened. What they did is they stayed away from it because it is the only thing in court that proves without interpretation what happened. If it was a mail-in ballot, it's going to be in color. It's going to be folded on specific lines. Kinematic, which means the pressure on the paper and the movement, is going to show it went through the mail system and got opened up. This is why they stay away from it. The job was to completely move you to stuff that sounds great, but it will never see court. This is the key legal principle in all of this. The courts automatically assume everything was run correctly. By law, the courts, let me see if I can go up a little bigger on this. I think I can. I can. Good. There we go. The courts by law assume it was run regular. That is why the challengers bear the burden of proof. It has to be clear and convincing evidence or preponderance of evidence. But even if you show an irregular, you have to show that it changed the outcome. It's not that it was there. Here's the deal. A mere presence of ineligible people in the rolls or even confirmed invalid ballots isn't enough unless it's tied to the outcome. Let me go back to physical evidence. If they were supposed to have in every precinct 84.13% ballots that were by mail statistically, and every single district, District 1, District 2, District 3, District 4, and District 5, failed by almost 10 points, but yet in the other categories, they made up the difference to all still work out at 100%, that's physical evidence. That is the evidence that supersedes all of this to show you can't deny it. It overcame, it changed the outcome. And you don't need to know who did it. So you can see there is no basis to court judgments or convictions based on mathematical averages. So let's look at, if you were going to take an average anywhere, I don't care, you believe polynomials suck ass, or you believe it's because 8 people moved out and 22 people moved in, and this is the percentage. If you even wanted to take percentages to court, what can be done? Okay. You have to take these numbers and remember the claim. I'm going to go back to the claim. Here is the claim. Election Crime Bureau, ERI.VRI04. Fulton County registration rate of 113.8% of citizen voting age deviation. Can't be done. Well, here's the court of what you have to do with that claim. Okay? Since the court is required by law to assume it was one right, what you have to do is you have to go track down that deviation. If you've got an 18% error, you have to find out who's that 18%. You got to physically track them down. That's called building the record, but it doesn't automatically undo the election. This is the second rig. On statistics, there's not going to be any attorney that takes it because it's bullshit statistics. And the ones you find are going to be a pot-smoking fucking shaggy Scooby-Doo dude that can't remember what he's talking about. And you certainly can't trigger new elections or whatever. You got to be able to do it. But see, they have to do their stuff within strict deadlines. Do you understand why they have to have it canvassed in 30 days? Because when they canvass it in their books and by law and by default, it's done. You can't change it. So the first things that can happen in these cases, no attorney is going to at all, take a case based on just statistics. And it doesn't even matter if you have questionable ballots. They didn't show you all the ones in Arizona that were bad. All they did was count them all. And in count them all, they said, well, Biden actually got 500 more votes. That's the rig. Don't look at the details. This is where the math is against you and against me. Now, here comes the different part here. This is what's key. This is where I told you about Barr when he got on television and said, we looked into the fraud of the 2020, he's stoned, but not stoned, but you know what I mean, 2020 election, and we just didn't find enough fraud that would materially change the outcome of the election. Well, let me show you how that works in the eyes of the law. And this is what you have to understand. You either do this all by law or you don't bother. This is where the math is against you, and they know it. You've got to have a determinative outcome. So here's what it is. Ready? In a race won by 5,000 votes, and you got 6,000 plus invalid ballots, if the evidence favored the winner. If the evidence favored the winner. But here's the deal. Because you're dealing in a deviation of 10%, you basically have to have a 10 times larger repeal. You've got to show, even for the court to accept it based on a 10% deviation, and you say, well, the race was won by 5,000 and we've got 6,000 confirmed invalid ballots. By court standards on the percentages, you've got to show a 10x larger margin to matter. That's the law. If you just say it's an invalid vote, okay? See, this is non-dispositive issues. You have to prove who they voted for. And we have secret ballots. Who they voted for. You see, you can't reach this threshold. This is why it matters. If you look at the paper, you look at what the county said, you look at how many they said they mailed, you prove it's wrong. You look at how many they said came in from the mail and they counted, you prove it's wrong. You say, here's how many came in walk-in, you prove it's wrong. Look how many we used on election day, here's how it's wrong. And it happened in every fucking precinct, all at the same numbers, all at the same time. That is determinative evidence, and we don't need to fucking know who it was for. You know why? The deviation on average combined is 15%. The election was supposedly won by not even a half a point. And all of this is not stats. It's hardcore physical evidence. Do you understand? But the filling of the vacuum in the room, the pillow that suffocated America, is putting all the people in that pushed you to everything that they already know the court cannot accept. And to keep on beating in your mind through media, it's evidence, it's evidence, it's evidence. It never was. It's fraud, it's fraud, it's fraud. It never was. Now, here's what happens. You get fucking dejected and you think your vote doesn't count. You think the machine just willy-nilly changes them, and it fucking doesn't. You stop voting. I told you, when you stop voting, they don't need to rig an election. This is just what happened in Colorado. That's why Colorado was one of their places they needed to fall. They needed to get a centroid in the United States of America. That's Colorado. They're now linking it that Colorado, Utah's next. They're getting that link. They're building that belt. This is how it all works. See, we can never prove who they voted for due to secret ballots. But if you can show them every single report of a ballot was wrong, and by the way, it was 30 times higher than the actual determinative outcome. Therefore, by default, it materially changed the outcome of the election. And we don't even have to know who they voted for, because see, they can't prove the inverse. Well, that's 30 times higher. We know our people voted 29 times of those. So you didn't do it. And you get to say, what? What do you get to say when they say that? Prove it. And they can't. This is why the ballot is everything. Now, what you can do is you can go for civil remedies. This is why I champion this. You can go for civil remedies. You can get accelerated purges, etc. But it's always after the election and it changes nothing. It's always after the election and it changes nothing. Now, the same people that told you to canvass, we got all the PCAPs, sucked $18 million out of the room. When it came to the voter rolls, which I'm having one-on-one discussion plans with President Trump, here's what to focus on. What was the same group telling lawmakers?
So you have a centralized statewide voter roll that's on networked machines, servers. It has a public-facing internet interface. That's it. That's all I need to know that it's blown. That's a centralized statewide voter roll that was mandated by Help America Vote Act. They have these all over the country. And it's not just that you have a public-facing internet interface to it, but multiple organizations have what's called an API, or an application programming interface. In other words, a machine-to-machine interface into that voter roll. And I'm telling you this because when people say, well, we have to clean up the voter rolls, it's true that they're not following the law. It's true that they're not in good faith maintaining them in accordance with Title 52 that requires that the voter rolls be both secure and accurate. That's a requirement imposed on the Secretaries of State who've received the Help America Voting Act and CARES Act funding to maintain those voting systems. What nobody's going to tell you, but I'm going to tell you, is you cannot clean those rolls. You're sweeping a dirt floor.
Here's what nobody's going to tell you, and I'm going to tell you. That $18 million you gave Mike Lindell under his defense fund paid that guy $200,000 a month. Mike Lindell paid that organization $200,000 a month. Put other people on the road to over 400 cities to tell everybody, focus on canvassing, do this, look at my stats, look at my math, look at this. That's what your money bought. Are you beginning to see how this rig works yet? This is why you have to have a full forensic audit. You have the right to do it. Those same guys went state to state telling every lawmaker, full forensic audits are a waste of time. Don't do it now. Do a canvass first. Go part 3. You'll understand why that's a rig. They got them all, every state, to walk away from full forensic audits to do canvassing because they know there is no standing. See, you have to understand in all of this, the scale of it matters. But you got to get into the details. If you want to go on a percentage, well, my says Republicans moved in this neighborhood, and I think this Democrats did this, and I watched the street, and I saw the real estate rolls, and I did this, and I think the numbers suck. That's okay. But you know what you have to do? You have to, by law, track down each and every one. Oh, by the way, here's the other kicker. I started telling you this 3 years ago. Here's how we have to do it. As soon as they knew I met with President Trump saying we got to do the voter rolls, they came out with the campaign, don't do the voter rolls. It's too late. We've already missed the window for this. We can no longer challenge on that when it comes to the midterms. It's over. Let me say that again. Just like you're getting Arizona results, all of a sudden you get Cyber Symposium, just like I'm dialoguing with President Trump, you get the campaign. You don't do the voter rolls, it's sweeping the dirt floor. Just canvas, canvas, canvas. All planned, all done, all worked out. And by the way, we now cannot do it. I told you it was for the midterms. I told you it was coming. I told you it was for the midterms. Now, why did I tell you that? I told you that because under the radar, Barack Obama got 69 million votes his first term. He was the messiah for the Dems. 65 his second term. Hillary was supposed to win it, landslide 90%. She got 65, but Trump beat her. Then we get the Biden FU, 81 million votes. All bullshit. Kamala election night 2024 came in at 68. She is now over 75 million votes, and it's 17 months after the election. They pack them in. By not checking the voter rolls, they took all the fake voters and got another midterm or primary vote in it, thus validating them. That's why they had you stay away from the rolls and sweeping a dirt floor. Canvas, canvas, canvas. Look at these stats. That's the con, folks. It's how this works. When it comes to this midterms, we missed that window. The court has to have targeted fixes. This means on these deviations, you can't use deviations if you think it's there. You've got to track down everyone. Because if you don't, it's not valid. Now, what is this on its face? This falls squarely under malfeasance. And it cannot be approached as a crime unless you go to the distance. And the problem is, this is after the factism. There's not crap you can do about it through the election you just went in. And by the way, this is where Lindell and team put people on the road in the GOP and told every state canvass only. Now you know why. The reason I'm breaking this down is because people are sitting there from the Election Crime Bureau, 799 pages, and you think it's fraud. And you think, look at all our work. It didn't go to a fucking rat bastard. Donate more. It's by design. It is to get you to think something's happening, to get you even to participate in something happens, right? Okay, Tom Fenton's aimed at voter rolls. Have you not watched me forever? Tom Fenton found 1.2 million possible bad voters on the voter rolls in California and won his first case. I told you that. That's big, isn't it? 1.2 million bad voters in California. When you read the agreement, the county says, okay, but we can only remove 100 a month, which means they have 1,000 years to correct the problem. Did finding them make a difference? Did claiming them make a difference? Did winning a lawsuit make a difference? No, they raised a fuckload of money after that. But did it move the needle? No, because California had 1,000 years to comply to get it to the end game. We either get serious about this. I've only been preaching it for 6 years, but this is it. This is how it all works. You're listening to people that came out of nowhere, have no backgrounds, no verified backgrounds, telling you, well, we know how it is, and here's how you do it. And you're following it because your instinct as an American to help. And you follow blindly. And then you don't understand even what the law requires. And the law will tell you up front, we can't use that. But they'll stand on their soapboxes, fraud, 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 machine, fraud, flipping, and raise the shitload of money. That's their business. And that's what they pay themselves to do. That's what they get paid to do. All the time, all this effort to fix adds to what? The chaos. Here's why. You actually think, well, look at that. That was all bad. 98,000 people in Georgia. No, it was an indicator something's not quite right, but it was based on somebody convincing you it could be formulated by a 6-degree polynomial and a fractal. It never could. What happens in the process? You don't hang your hat on solid physical evidence. You believe the media. You believe the hype. You believe who does the most interviews. You believe who wears the cross on the outside and doesn't tell you like it is. And then you wonder, what the fuck isn't this getting fixed? It is all the chaos rule. It is all the chaos rule. And that is how this works. And by the way, it has always been about the ballot. And if you lifted your finger and study history, you'd know this. Share this program. I love you all.
On Election Day 2026, insurgent candidate Spencer Pratt looked like he might flip Los Angeles to the Republicans, edging out socialist candidate Nydia Rahman, setting up a runoff between former communist turned Democrat incumbent Karen Bass and the Republican Pratt. But then something strange happened. After 5 days of counting extra ballots, the socialist Rahman came up with just enough ballots to overtake Pratt, meaning that no matter what happened in the runoff, a Democrat would continue to run LA into the ground. How did the Democrats do it? To answer that question, we need to take a trip down memory lane. The Democratic Party was founded in 1828. Shortly thereafter, party apparatuses such as Tammany Hall institutionalized election theft by stuffing ballot boxes, repeat voting, casting ballots for dead people, bribery, intimidation, absentee ballots, ballot harvesting, and importing voters from outside areas. An audit of a New York City election in 1868, for example, found that 16% of all votes cast were fraudulent, cooked up by Democrats in Tammany Hall. In 1948, Lyndon Johnson infamously stole a Texas Senate seat thanks to the drop of 202 late votes in ballot box 13, giving LBJ an 87-vote victory. That brazen election theft made it all the way up to the Supreme Court, which ultimately didn't want to get involved and washed its hands of the matter. As a result, LBJ went on to become vice president and then president of the United States. In 1994, Democrats tried to steal a state Senate seat in Pennsylvania. On Election Day, Republican Bruce Marks led Democrat William Stinson by over 500 votes. But the absentee ballots, curiously, went overwhelmingly for the Democrat, giving Stinson just enough votes to win overall. In that case, happily, a federal judge found that Philadelphia election officials had illegally delivered hundreds of absentee ballot packets directly to the Democrats, who in turn collected votes from people who were ineligible to cast votes when they weren't forging the votes outright. Democrats ran precisely the same absentee ballot playbook in 2003 in the East Chicago, Indiana mayor's race, fraud we know about only because the Indiana Supreme Court decided to get involved, ordering a new election, which the Democrat fraudster happily lost. Democrats' reliance on absentee ballot harvesting became so widespread, especially in states such as Illinois, Arkansas, and Georgia, that the 1982 Illinois elections resulted in 62 indictments and 58 convictions for election fraud, involving not only campaign workers, but precinct captains and election officials. In Chicago alone, a grand jury found that 100,000 fraudulent votes had been cast. But Chicago had already been a central hub of Democrat election theft for decades, most infamously exemplified by the 1960 presidential election, in which Robert Dallek, a biographer of both John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon, concluded that Democrats, quote, probably stole Illinois from Nixon. In 2020, Democrat politicians infamously changed voter laws throughout the United States to increase absentee ballots and insecure ballot drop boxes, in some cases, such as Pennsylvania, in violation of the state constitution. Despite claims of perfectly secure elections, hundreds of Democrats over American history have been convicted over election fraud, and those convictions represent only a small percentage of cases, which represent only a small percentage of allegations of voter fraud widely acknowledged by historians and really by anyone with eyes. In Los Angeles, we see the same old story. A Republican defeated by the last-minute count of absentee ballots, cast without any solid chain of custody, often in ballot drop boxes without any election security. Those circumstances might all be perfectly legal, at least in a Democrat stronghold such as Gomorrah by the Sea. But we're still left with a simple question. If Democrats want us to believe there isn't any voter fraud, why do they keep expanding the use of all the same tricks they've used to steal elections for the past 200 years?
Rennie Good was a gifted soul, a writer and a poet and a mother, wow. She tried to hit an agent with her car, oh no! Pop, motherfucker, now she's gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with the septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! You fuck around and find out it's what it is! Jeffrey Pretty was a Jewish homo. Started talking shit to protect a chomo. He was getting nicked when he pulled a gun. Bam, motherfucker, now you're gone! Yeah, yeah, yeah! Being a fucking liberal is a mental disease. Blue-haired and fuckables with a septum ring. You are not a hero, you're a fucking disease! Fuck around and find out what that is!
I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV. I know the problem, you've got just one policy. You do the opposite of what the Donald does. Don't know what you believe just because you got that TDS. You've tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. Open the borders, let my Donnie party started. If you're left, you're blue and probably retarded. Like Rosie, De Niro, Jimmy Kimmel, Kathy Griffin. No kings, no kidding, we don't live in Great Britain. If J6 was the worst thing you've ever seen, Soros, burning Sadies, a mostly peaceful thing. Bring back the cartels, commute their crimes, sack the fact checkers like the New York Times. He's a Nazi, a fascist, a racist dictator who lets you say what you want to say.
Luke, I am your daddy.
You got that TDS. You tested positive. There's nothing I can do for chronic low IQ. It's TDS. No matter what he says, you must be really dumb, 'cause you keep blaming Trump for your problems.
Side effects of Trump derangement syndrome may include violent behavior, delusions, nightmares, insomnia, irrational hatred, hopelessness, anxiety, depression, blue hair, tantrums, inability to form coherent speech, difficulty maintaining gainful employment, and verbal diarrhea.
There's no cure in sight.